Hey guys, I have Eyal Booker here today. You may know Eyal from his Love Island days, but now he is doing so much more. He's doing a lot of good in the world with his new podcast, which I'm excited to get into. And I have had such an Eyal day because we've just done Pilates together and now we are in the studio doing this. So welcome, Eyal.
Hello, thank you for having me. And thank you for destroying me in half an hour of Pilates. I mean, fuck. It really,
I'm not going to lie, you were dripping in sweat.
I told you that. I was like, are you sure you want me to take my socks off? Because my feet get sweaty. And like, Pilates is one of those things that I always underestimate. And I'm like, I go to the gym, I lift weights, whatever. And then I walk in and I'm like, yeah, this will be a walk in the park. And my legs are shaking like a little fucking... I don't know.
It's humbling, isn't it?
Very
Pilates?
humbling, very humbling.
But you were good. I was impressed.
I was okay.
No, you were really,
okay.
really good.
You have to say that.
No, it's so nice to be with you. And you were shocked that I was from London when I opened the door.
I was, yeah. So, yeah, I didn't know too much about you, to be honest. And then you messaged me being like, you want to come to Pilates and then come on my podcast? And I've got a podcast with Dear Media as well. And I was like, yeah, it sounds great.
Yeah, why not?
Sounds great.
Well, I'm glad that you came. And I want to kind of go all the way back. Obviously, I know you from your Love Island days. Yeah. And I feel like that was years ago now. And you're doing so many things now, including your new podcast. So before we get into that, take me back to Love Island. Why did you go on Love Island?
6 years ago now, or just over 6 years
How
ago,
old
2018. I was 22.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what made you decide to do that?
Before that, I was modeling. I was having success in modeling, but I always knew that I wanted to be more than a model, more than what I looked like. And I could see the rise of Love Island and what it was doing. My brother would watch it. I would catch glimpses of it. I lived a pretty drama-free life, but I wanted to have an experience that I'd never had before. I was getting reached out to by the producers on the show through Instagram. I had, a couple of tens of thousands of followers on Instagram, and they kept on coming to me year after year. Would you like to audition? And I always say that if an opportunity keeps on presenting itself, you should see what it's about.
Yeah.
And I still stand by that. And so, as I said, I could see the rise of the show. I could see what it was also doing for people. I was single at the time. I was open to finding love. It was summer in the UK. I was like, fuck it. Why not? I'm going to audition. Yeah. If I get it, then it's meant to be and I should see it through. And if I don't, then I'll continue what I'm doing in the modeling space. No harm in trying. And I ended up getting it.
Yeah, I love that.
It was probably one of the most nerve-wracking experiences of my entire life.
Actually going in. How does it even, what happens? So you obviously go into kind of hiding, right?
Yeah,
beforehand.
So the audition process is like a 6-month process, and it starts by you going into a room full of guys, right? There's like 25, 30. It's like a classroom. Everyone's in there. There's a lot of big egos, everyone joking, laughing, trying to be,
quite laddie.
Quite laddie, and just like, who's the alpha in the room? And not that I'm not an alpha male, but I don't walk in there trying to swing my big dick around and look, here I am kind of thing. And I just remember sitting in this room thinking fuck me, I think I'm in the wrong place. Because I'm just not about this kind of vibe and energy. Anyway, I went into my audition with the producers and they get you to talk about yourself, all things like that. Then you go home. Then a couple of weeks later, you're invited back. There's a couple less people in the room, and it kind of goes like that through a few stages until finally it's kind of like you're doing these one-on-one interviews. You're not seeing anyone else around you. And at that point, it's starting to get serious. Then you get a call being like, we're pretty sure we want you on. We don't know where. You can't tell anyone. If you tell anyone, then you're going to jeopardize your position because we want to keep it all private. And they put the fear in you.
Oh my God.
When I probably told a handful of people around me that I was doing the show because I was so scared to lose out on the opportunity. And then a couple of weeks before, it was like, right, you're going in as one of the original lineup. We're flying you out to Mallorca a week before. We're going to take your phone away. You're going to have a chaperone. You're allowed to exist in 1.5 mile radius of the hotel. You're not allowed to leave your chaperone's sight. He's got to accompany you everywhere. You're not allowed to talk to anyone at the hotel. There were just so many things in it.
So it was just you and your chaperone on
me
like
and my
a week
chaperone,
holiday
Stu,
in Mallorca.
Stu, his name was, a
Stewie.
week holiday, but no phone, no contact with the outside
Oh my
world.
God.
I brought a book and I was reading that, and I just remember trying to just focus so much on that because I knew that I was about to walk
How
into a
nerve-wracking.
national or international TV show,
Yeah.
not knowing who's in front of me or how I'm going to be perceived. So it
Oh
was,
my gosh.
and I'm an overthinker, right?
Okay.
So 7 days in lockdown with no distractions, your mind's going to fucking run wild.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
And then you, all of a sudden you go in and were you just so terrified?
I was petrified. Like, I remember to this day, I'll never forget it. They hold you outside the villa on the day that you're going in. You're in like a tent in the larger grounds. Producers keep on coming, and I was probably there for about 6 to 8 hours before going in, just under the heat in this tent with a
with
little
everyone
mirror.
else or just you?
Everyone was in different
Individual tents,
that
okay.
you weren't allowed to see who was
Oh
who.
yeah, because you don't know. Yeah, of course.
Exactly. And then I remember being brought up to the villa, and literally a producer being like, "Are you ready?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I think so." And he's like, "Right, you're going to follow this line, and then you're going to walk into the villa, and as soon as you see everyone, you're going to say hi or do whatever you want." And I remember seeing everyone and just saying hi, and my voice just fucking broke. And I was like, "Oh God."
Oh, no.
And then there's a long line of stairs, and you're like, "Do I walk down it? Do I run down it? Like, how am I going to look here?" And yeah, it was a lot to think about. It was a lot to think about. Yeah.
The thing that I don't get about Love Island is how you can fall asleep knowing the whole world is watching you. I would not fall asleep. I would be lying there like so aware of those eyes on me.
Honestly, I think you are so mentally exhausted
that you just are like,
that
whatever.
you just
are happy
you pass
to be
out.
in bed.
You're happy to just, I mean, it's a really, really mentally draining experience. And like, as I'm an overthinker and I'm also hyper aware. So
oh my gosh, the worst combination.
When you first go in there, right? I'm like, and you're told not to look at the cameras, but there's fucking cameras everywhere.
Yeah.
So, and you see them turn and point at you, and like, you've got this mic around you, and I'm thinking, all right, if I say something wrong, how's that going to be perceived?
Yeah.
I'm trying to pursue this girl. Is she hot? Is she into me? I'm trying to like make guy friendships whilst also not get too close to somebody, because what happens if I want to move to their girl? And I'm also just like, I don't know how I feel in the moment.
But I remember you coming across very calm.
Yes.
Very centered. And also you were very like, and don't take this the wrong way, but you were very clearly different to the other guys that were in there. And I think you stood out for kind of owning who you were. So
for sure. I think that was one of the big reasons of why I wanted to go on a show like this.
Yeah.
I knew that the stereotype around men and the type of guy that goes on that show is very much this laddie mentality of, you know, just
the
not
bros.
being... Yeah, the bros are not being very emotionally aware or in touch, and not being very mindful of how your behavior impacts other people. And I can be a bro, I can be a lad, you know, I can go out, do all those things, but also I can be mindful and aware and present. And so it was about being able to hopefully say that, all right, there's not one type of guy that can exist within this sphere. And ideally to be a source of inspiration to other guys that are like, oh, you know what, I don't identify with that type of guy that is just like lad, girls, you know, fuck. And actually I have a bit of that in me, but also I can
it's
exist
okay
in
to
another,
be in touch with your feelings.
Yeah, for sure. And embrace
more deep conversations.
Yeah, embrace femininity as much as you embrace your masculinity, and, you know, dress how you want to dress and all of those things.
Yeah. And did you find love on that series?
I didn't find love. No. I didn't find love. To be honest, it was harder than I thought it was going to be.
In the relationship sense?
In the
or
relationship
just in
sense. Like I was modeling, I was dating girls, I had girlfriends, I was, you know, I always say in life, you're presented with people that you either get on with or you just bounce off of each other and you go your separate ways. And I guess in life, I would bounce away from some people and we would go our separate ways, and other people, especially girls, we would connect, we would date, sleep together, whatever, and then we would either be in a relationship or move on. It came quite easily and naturally to me.
Yeah.
And then I walked into that villa and I was like, fuck, this is going to be a lot harder. This is hard work.
Yeah.
Like, there aren't people in there that I connected with like I'm used to connecting with, but equally it's a game show, right?
Yeah.
And in
So
order
you
to
have
stay
the
in,
pressure of kind of forcing.
forcing connection. And in order to stay in, I know that I need to convince somebody to like
couple
me
up.
or to be into me or to couple up or just to give me an opportunity.
Yeah.
And it's funny because fast forwarding, I ended up going on Love Island Games in the US end of last year for for a
way.
bunch of different reasons. But one of the main reasons,
Sorry, just a question. Is that when they take old Love Island,
old
like
Love
All
Islanders
Stars
from
vibe?
all around the
Okay.
world.
Oh, so good. I need to watch this. That sounds good.
It transformed my Love Island experience because
Did
I
it?
didn't enjoy the first one.
Okay,
I'll be
so
honest.
you really enjoyed the second.
I was a lot older. I know exactly who I am. I'm confident in myself. I'm sure of who I am. So I was able to go in there with my head held high, being like, yo, this is me, take it or leave it.
Yeah.
And own who I am, and also get to show the fun and playful side, as well as the deep and spiritual guy that's in touch with his emotions, but also that bro-y laddie guy that can hang with his boys. And
just completely yourself.
Exactly.
Whereas the last time you were overthinking like your every move, where you can just
100%.
relax into it.
Yes. And it was like, all right, this is 5 years on. I've been on enough TV shows now and been in front of the camera. I know what I'm doing. I know who I am. I've grown. I'm confident in myself.
Yeah.
And that was important.
How long were you in that villa for?
It's a 3-week show.
Okay.
I came in as a bombshell, which I didn't want to do, but it worked out well. And I was there until the semi-finals.
Oh, wow.
So it worked out.
And did you
perfectly.
meet anyone that you had a connection with?
I met a really lovely girl that I was with on the show from start to finish. Her name is Selly. I couldn't have asked for a better person to have been on that show with.
Okay.
The show was less about like falling in love
but
and more about dating in your couple and competing in challenges. It kind of didn't really work out thereafter. No. I had to come back to the UK. My dad fell very ill and ended up getting his leg amputated. Selly and I had a bit of a falling out because I wasn't able to.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry.
That's okay. He's walking now and he's got a prosthetic leg and he's an incredible source of inspiration. So
wow.
Yes, yeah.
And your family's in London?
My family's in London. Yeah.
And you go back and visit all the time?
I go back and forth. Yeah. After that show ended, I flew straight back to the UK and I was there for a couple of months whilst he was in and out of hospital.
Yeah.
But I came to LA 4 years ago for work and a past relationship.
Okay.
You know, girls can make you move all over the world.
Girls can make you do crazy things.
They can make us do anything as guys, that's for sure. You guys hold a lot of power. Came here for that. People always put LA on a pedestal, and I always find it quite, when people put things on too much of a pedestal, I'm like, how great can it fucking be?
Were you kind of like intrigued? Like, what is this all about?
I was like, surely how good can it be? And I came here and at first I didn't think it was that great, but it's a place that definitely grows on you.
I completely agree. Even as a kind of like a visitor for holidays, I think when I first arrived, when I did my first trip here and I first arrived, I was thinking, I don't get it. And even by the time I left, it was like growing on me more and more.
Yeah.
So I think if you live here, you probably like find your people, your circle, and it is a healthy lifestyle.
For sure. It's a healthy lifestyle. People are so important here.
Yeah.
It's the same as any major city. You know, you've got to sieve through the shit before you find your people.
Yeah.
And then once you find them, you know, you hunker down with them and you're able to dip in and out of all those other things. But when push comes to shove, you've got good people around you.
Yeah, totally.
And the sun's shining here.
I know. The weather is so good.
I'm a summer baby and I can't deny that sunshine and blue skies makes me feel better.
Yeah, and it is very health and wellness focused here. And we would just I mean, there's two sides, but we were just before talking about your health and wellness kind of routines. And you were saying that the gym is your form of mindfulness and meditation. So tell me what you do.
Has been for as long as I can remember. I think I mentioned my dad. My dad's diabetic, has been since he was 10 years old. So fitness was always at the forefront of his lifestyle.
Yeah.
So from as long as I can remember growing up, I always had a positive influence and role model from my dad. You know, I was the kid with the abs and the chest at fucking 10 years old because I had been doing push-ups and sit-ups with my dad. Then I got into calisthenics in my garden and was doing all those pull-ups and things like that, and found such a love for fitness so early on. I used to run cross country and run track, and it was something I was good at, and something that I've never been amazing at anything, but it's something that if you do consistently, you get better at.
Totally
And
agree.
for me, it was like, all right, well, you know, I'm not in school fucking super book smart, and, you know, my maths isn't great here, but if I keep on training and keep on working, I can be good at this.
Yeah.
And that was really cool for me. And it's honestly assisted me in every point of my life. In the good points, I tend to do a lot of work with my top off somehow has been, you know, what happens throughout life.
So you need to be
So I want to be in shape. And I also knew growing up and watching things that like women were attracted to guys that were in shape.
Yeah.
And so that was like, all right, well,
that was your driver when you were growing. Helps me in
foot forward, then fucking, you know, I'll spend an hour in the gym a day. Let's go. And then also, you know, like the mental health benefits that I found, the peace of mind and the clarity that comes from exercise for me is something I haven't found anywhere else.
Yeah.
And
once you kind of realize that the mental health benefits are incredible as well as the physical, and you kind of connect the two and you get the consistency in and it becomes part of your lifestyle, it's really like you can't imagine living a life without working out.
Absolutely. A good example, I'm filming a new series for E! News, and the first day of filming, it's like an 8 a.m. call time. So it means if I want to get into the gym, I've got to be up at 5, you know, in a class by 6 a.m., out by 7. And I was tired the night before and I didn't do that. And the first day of filming, I did what I needed to do and I did it well, but I knew inside of me that I wasn't firing on all cylinders.
Yeah.
I knew that I wasn't fully present, fully there. I didn't have that mental clarity. This Tuesday, we filmed our second couple of episodes and I managed to get into the gym before that. And I went to filming and I felt like a completely different person.
Yeah.
I was so locked in. I was so focused. I had that mental clarity and space to just focus on the task at hand, because I feel like exercise just clears my mind in such a way.
Yeah, it's incredible. It's so effective, and it's such a, like, if someone is listening that's not very good at meditation, or people say, I can't meditate. We can all meditate, but it's just a new practice that we need to learn. But if you feel you aren't, then movement is such a good way of meditating or having that mindful moment, because you're so out of your head, you're in your body. And then when you leave the gym, you're like, oh my God, I wasn't thinking about that for the last hour. I wasn't, you know, my mind was quiet.
For sure.
So I think it gives you that like kind of meeting strategy moment with yourself for the day.
And I think, you know, meditation, from my understanding, is slightly misunderstood, because truly it means focusing on one thing and one thing only, and quieting all those other things in your mind and not allowing your mind to dart to different places.
Yeah.
So I find meditation within exercise because it focuses my mind on one thing at hand. It quietens everything else.
Yeah.
And that is a form of meditation. Yes, I might not be sat still with my legs crossed, you know, my palms facing up and all my chakras open. But if I'm getting the benefits, then that's important.
That's the only thing that matters.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I've done...
It's like cooking or something like that. People find that meditative.
Yes,
because you're focusing.
I do pottery, and it's...
Do you?
I do pottery and I throw on a wheel, and it is... You know, I'm glued to my phone. A lot of my work and life is on my phone, and I'm glued to screens, and my mind just runs at 1,000,000 miles an hour the whole time, darting from idea to idea. It's probably part of my ADHD and whatever, but all of a sudden I'm sat with dirty hands full of clay on a pottery wheel, and the mind and body connection to just switch off.
Yeah.
I spend hours there just focusing on what I'm doing and not a care in the world about anything.
I love that. And having an adult hobby like that, I think, is also really important, and some way to get off your phone and to just be like kind of in the moment. I play backgammon.
We
Do you
should
like
play a game of
backgammon?
backgammon. I love backgammon.
It's so
I
good.
love backgammon. I learned it
But
not too
adult
long
hobbies
ago.
are so important.
So important, just for the sake of doing it.
Yeah.
It's not for, we live our lives on social media and we both have followings there, whatever. And yes, I've posted my pottery, but that wasn't the intention.
No.
The intention was I always felt drawn to pottery and
Yeah.
clay. I have no idea why, but it was like, all right, why don't I explore this? And I found an amazing teacher here who is just so lovely, and he's a lot older than me. And it's like, I get his wisdom of life,
Yeah.
whilst he's also teaching me and passing down a new skill. And I get to be a student again. And I think putting your ego to the side and being like, yeah, I've got no fucking idea what I'm doing, but I want to
learning
learn.
something new. Yeah.
It's so beautiful and powerful.
What I love about you is that you're really you are not the stereotypical, like, as we said earlier, lad.
Mm-hmm.
And you really talk about that. And one of your main message on the podcast, which we can discuss now, is that your podcast is called It's Not That Deep.
It's not that deep. And it gets quite deep.
It gets very deep. I listened to you and your brother, and it was such a good episode. And I think, honestly, and it's so sweet, the relationship you have between the two of you. But I think it's so important for men to kind of have someone like you discuss how normal it is to have feelings and to, get deep on your podcast and have these open and honest conversations. Because I always think, as women, and this is obviously a complete stereotype, but generally as women, we talk about everything. Everything and anything. I always laugh with my boyfriend. He'll come back from a dinner with his friends and I'm like, tell me everything. What happened? And he's like, what do you mean? I'm like, well, what about this person and what about their girlfriend? And he's like, we don't discuss that stuff. I'm like, what do you guys talk about? And I think for men, they don't have, for women, we almost have free therapy.
For sure. You've got a community amongst yourselves of open discussion about your problems, right?
Yeah.
And part of the human experience and existence is filled with problems.
Yeah.
How we face them and how we overcome them. From a male perspective and environments that I've grown up in, and both my parents are amazing, but I have to thank my mum because she instilled emotional intelligence and vulnerability in me and my brothers. And
all of the girls listening and just melting right now.
No, but it's true, and my mum's an unbelievable woman, and I've always had so much respect and love for women because of the positive influences I've had. But as guys, right, we are so conditioned through society to believe that vulnerability is weakness.
Yeah.
And it is so far from the truth. And if we can, share our problems that we feel are so personal and individual that nobody else has ever gone through them, it's just not true. Most people have gone through a similar situation to somebody else. Most people can shed light so that sometimes we don't have to repeat those past mistakes.
Yeah.
And it doesn't take away from our masculinity.
No.
It doesn't. If anything, it makes us braver and it makes us stronger. And there's so much toxic masculinity that exists in the world. And, the goal of
that stiff upper lip kind of thing.
For sure. And UK society especially, it creates that and it breeds more of that. And my goal has always been to show that we're not one-dimensional beings, you know. Our feelings and emotions are feelings in motion. They change and they shift, and the problems that we have, if we share them with each other, weigh so much less on our shoulders.
Yeah.
And I think that's such an important message that people just don't seem to. I think people are becoming more aware of it, and guys are starting to open up room for more conversation. But I've always had a loving relationship with guys. I tell my boys, yo, bro, I love you. And I put the phone down, you know, and I check in on people and I say.
That probably makes them feel comfortable to then do it back to you.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's
Takes
not
that
gay to say I love you, bro.
No.
It's not gay to hug my boy, properly hug him and be like, yo, you know what? I had a great time, or we experienced this thing, or, and I just think that so, and it goes back to the podcast I did with my brother about like, men are so scared that by showing affection to each other, they're going to be labeled as like gay, and it's
Yeah.
and it's just
And as
so
you
far
said,
from it.
I agree. And I think especially in the UK,
Mhm.
like if you look at, I don't know if you ever noticed, but if you're in Italy or Spain, like men kiss each other.
Yeah,
And I love that. They're much more kind of in touch with
For
their
sure.
feelings and their love for each other, and in like a very natural
Yeah.
family-like way.
yeah,
And
it's part of community and
Yeah.
culture, and culture is, we're conditioned in the UK to forward facing, everything is fine, everything is great, and when our life's falling apart, it's falling apart behind closed doors, and
yeah.
God forbid anyone can know about that, because then it will break down the perception that they have of us.
Yeah. What do you think it was that your mum gave to you or did throughout your childhood that made you feel so at ease?
Interesting question that I've never been asked. I think a couple of things. I think one was that she gave us the space to feel and to talk about our emotions.
Okay.
Um,
What did that specifically look like?
just that if any of
Kind
us
of at
were
like a
going
dinner
through,
time, like you would be
just
open.
anyone was going through anything, or like there was behavior that was triggered by something else. Often when I would lash out or be in a bad mood or be horrible and aggressive towards my parents as a kid, it would be because something
Coming
else
from
happened.
something else.
You
Yeah.
know, whether I was badly dyslexic growing up, and kids would always take the piss out of me, or I would I would get embarrassed because it was English class and we were all reading from paragraphs in a book, and it came to me and I stuttered and
Yeah.
fumbled my words, and then that stuck on my mind, and then I would go home and I would take it out in all those ways of I don't know, arguing with my brothers or just being short-tempered, and being sat down and spoken to and asked, why, like, what's going on? Why are you behaving like this?
Yeah.
So giving space. And I think
And understanding it's coming from somewhere else.
exactly. And leading.
God, reading aloud in school, I used to have the
was
same feeling
horrible.
where it's like, and I would get all my words mixed up. It's the worst
I
feeling.
would
I would be like
count-
sweating.
I would count my classmates and then go through the paragraphs
To
to
check.
know which one that I was doing. And then I
Aw.
wouldn't even be listening to what was being read. I would just make sure that I've read this like 3 times over in my head, so that when it comes to me, I don't embarrass myself. And often I would miscount, and I would read a paragraph that wasn't even
No.
mine. And then it would get to me, and I was so prepared for something else that
You're
wasn't
thrown
mine.
off.
Yeah.
No, but there's, like you say, there's always something else.
Mhm.
So I think, yeah, that's a really good tip.
And I think leading by example.
Yes.
I was...
So she would be very open.
She would
and,
be open,
yeah.
and my parents were affectionate towards each other, affectionate towards us
Oh,
as
that's
kids.
so nice.
I come from a, Jewish, Israeli, Moroccan family, a Middle Eastern family, in a lot of respects, where we're affectionate towards each other. We all kiss each other on the cheeks to say, hey, we all hug each other. It's all about family and being there in the good and the bad. And so they were the environments that I was around. So affection never scared me.
Yeah.
It was like, it was just part of it.
Yeah,
And-
totally.
And leading by example, I think is so important, because it allows us to then take that learnt behavior and put it into our own lives.
Yeah. And one thing that just made me think when we were discussing is you seem so confident and
Mhm.
comfortable now, but I'm guessing that you weren't always super
No,
confident.
I was a troubled kid.
Yeah.
Like, I had a lot of my struggles as a kid growing up. I was severely dyslexic and dyspraxic. I really struggled at school. I got bullied. My parents moved me to essentially a special needs school for a year to understand my dyslexia. And then I got put back into mainstream education. And because of that, I had mental health issues, and I had a stutter when I was younger and couldn't really talk. And I was always given the tools by a really loving family of overcoming things, and
What were your tools that you used?
just love and support.
Okay.
And that we're going to get through this, and that there's,
And that helps your mental
every
health.
problem has a solution.
Yeah.
And that is
That safe space at home.
that safe space at home. And then, I love the motto, no problems, only solutions,
Yeah.
and in any work and with my team and whatever I'm doing, it's like, let's not just sit here talking about the problem. Let's find the solution to it.
Yeah.
And you know, I would always take risks in life when it came to work, when it came to career, when it came to friendships. And I was always rewarded because of those risks that I took. I always put myself in scary,
Yeah.
you know, positions where I was so scared, but deep down, it's really what I wanted to do.
You pushed yourself.
I pushed myself, and nothing scares me more than living within my comfort zone.
I completely agree. Have you read the book Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway?
No, but I will order that.
You would
now.
love that. That's all
Really?
about really pushing yourself. And I think when you do push yourself, you overcome a hurdle, that then breeds confidence for the next thing that comes along, and the next thing, and it has this like domino effect. Before you know it, you're this like completely evolved human that's achieved so much. So it's all about that. It's a really good book.
I love that.
But I agree. I think life is about really pushing yourself, living your, you know, like people say, living your best life, but it's just about pushing yourself to your potential and living out your potential and not holding yourself back.
Sure.
But it's all about having that kind of, that even if it feels uncomfortable, having the confidence to be like, no, I can do this. And I mean, like putting yourself out there on national TV.
100%. But, you know, before that, like I hate talking about my past, even though I love it, but I feel like I can never escape it. But it's also part of who I am. You know, I left school at 16. I got signed into a pop group. I couldn't sing.
What?
They signed me in because of what I looked like, and I could hold a slight tune. I've never, honestly.
What?
But,
Wait, hang on.
I know.
You were in a boy
band. I
band.
can't believe I brought it up, but yeah.
This is the best thing ever. Can you give us a little rendition?
Absolutely not. I mean, the internet haunts me forever, sadly.
As soon as we leave, I'm going to be like Googling.
Yeah, it was pretty tragic. But it was great. And it was like,
You've been really thrusted into
but these were all things that I wanted to do growing up. You know, I would watch X Factor, and it was every young kid's to be a pop star, you know, dream to be a pop star. Or
X
not
Factor
every,
was
but
so good.
so good back in the day. And I got this opportunity, and I was like, Mum, what do you think? And she was like, well, I don't know, what do you want to do? And I was like, maybe I should do it. And she took me in for an audition, and they stuck me next to a piano, and we went up and down the scale. Bear in mind, my family always told me I was tone deaf. So it was like, this is going to be a fucking disaster. And then the singing teacher was like, all right, you can hold a tune, and like there's other people that are going to be singing around you.
So don't worry about it. Just
exactly,
go.
Exactly. The first year, I'm pretty sure I was performing and my mic was off for most of it. And you know, all of these things in it gave
they really
me,
do shape you.
It
all
gave
of these
me this
moments.
thick skin.
Yeah.
And
that's a really good quality.
What's the worst that's going to happen? I've wanted to launch a podcast for so many years, and I would get in my own way for so many years. You know, oh, I can't do it because of this. Oh, I need the right setup. Oh, I need the right production company. Oh, I don't have time. You know, all of this stuff.
You create excuses.
You create excuses. And I love people. I love people so much. But it also means I'm around a lot of people. And I don't enjoy hearing people say all the things they're going to do and never do them.
I find it so frustrating.
It's frustrating.
But I almost think it's like a negative quality of mine, because it really bothers me. If someone tells me they're going to do something and they don't do it, I'm like, okay, I need to not put that on them. But I just get so frustrated.
It's hard.
Like, just do it.
And I do a lot of introspective work on myself just as I spend time on my own, and I think about things. And I remember thinking, like, I don't want to be that person.
Yeah.
And I'm becoming that person if I don't, you know, do the things that I say I'm going to do, or at least try them. And what's the worst that's going to happen, right? They're not going to work. I mentioned to you in Pilates, I had an online fitness coaching company during COVID.
Yeah.
You know, I put so much time and energy into it. I love fitness. I launched it. I thought it was going to, you know, go through the roof straight away. It didn't. It was hard to get clients. I kept at it. I then realized that I fucking hate this.
Yeah.
Like
it was your one thing.
It was my one
that
passion,
gave you like
fitness.
respite. Yeah.
And then I turned it into a business that I didn't enjoy. And when I was able to, I then said, you know what, this isn't serving me anymore. But I tried it, and I'm proud of the fact that I tried it. And the accomplishment is in the trying. The accomplishment isn't in the fact that everything has to succeed, because not everything succeeds.
And failure isn't like, I think we take failure so seriously.
Yeah.
And it's not. It's, as you say, it's not that deep.
It's not that deep.
Just keep it moving. Keep trying things and just see where you get to.
Yeah, and the only true failure is failing ourselves when we don't try something that we've always wanted to do.
Yeah.
The failure and the success isn't in the success of something truly working. The success is just in that you tried it. It's okay to try something and then realize you don't like it or you don't want to do it.
I completely agree. I think that's a really good message. I'm so excited to be listening to more of the podcast.
Thank you.
Who have you got coming on?
I have Harry Jowsey coming on
nice.
Friday, but this will probably go out after that. I have a couple of other people. I've got some like astrologists and ayahuasca shamans and really interesting people. And the goal is to really just tell stories, share people's stories and be a source of inspiration for guys, but also for girls to come and listen, and for us guys to hold ourselves accountable for our actions and behavior, and also learn from each other's behavior so that we don't repeat it, and for girls to come on and be able to challenge us. And
how do you think we can help the men in our life kind of come out a little bit more of their shell? What can we do to support their feelings and encourage them to feel?
That's a really nice question. I think,
like, how can we be more like your mum and make the men feel comfortable and at ease and like they can share?
I think being able to recognize when their behavior has changed, and often I think in a relationship, a girl will think that the guy is behaving differently because of them. And actually there's many external factors that are seeping into it. And he brings that behavior home with him because that's where he's the most comfortable. And a lot of the time when the behavior shifts, the girl in the relationship gets triggered and thinks that automatically, and we all do this as humans, we all think about ourselves, we all think it's because we've done something, when actually it's probably an external factor, something going on in his work life or something like that. I also think give guys a little bit more grace. Like we do tend to get a hard time for a lot of things, and a lot of the things that we do and the way that we behave is learnt behavior because we haven't had any other better role models to learn from. And so as opposed to just busting our balls and, you know, hating on us for that, maybe open up the conversation to where that comes from and why you're behaving like that, and then share how it makes you as an individual feel as opposed to why they should change.
Yeah, almost like disrupt the pattern.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. That's good advice.
Yeah, and I just think we all have that intuition that tells us when something's up.
Yeah, for sure.
Push people gently to open up about those reasons and their fears. You know, and it's one thing, you know, I think guys get a hard time in relationships about like sex and their sex drive, and sometimes they don't want to have sex with their girlfriends, and their girlfriends automatically think it's them and the guy isn't attracted to them.
Yeah.
And I always tell people, you know, it's like our dick doesn't have a mind of its own. It's connected to our mind. And when there's external factors, or when we're stressed, or when there's things going on in our life, you know, our drive just isn't the same. And I think guys get such a hard time for it. I hear it all the time.
Yeah, because as you said earlier, the sex drive of a man is for some reason through society connected to masculinity.
Absolutely.
Which is just not the case, right?
Not the case at all.
And you're so right. Girls feel so insecure if that happens.
So insecure. And I
no one, by the way, no guys ever talk about. I think it's so good that you talk about this stuff.
And I understand why a woman would feel insecure. You know, if my girlfriend didn't want to have sex with me, I would feel insecure as well. But there's more to it. He still loves you. He wants to have sex with you. He's just tired. He's had a hard day, or maybe he's really stressed and nervous and worried about something. And like when, you know, as a guy, when we're free of any of that worry, we're all horny fucking guys that, want to have sex and have fun. But when that worry is there, or we're stressed about money or work or an argument we've had or the future or whatever,
so just both basically try and live the calmest life ever, and you're going to have the best sex life.
Absolutely. Yeah. And talk about your problems with each other.
Go and meditate, go do Pilates
Literally,
together.
Yeah. And just talk about your issues with each other.
And be open.
Yeah. But it's hard. Honesty is fucking scary.
Yeah.
Honesty is the scariest thing in the world.
Definitely, which is why I think it's so good you're doing all of this stuff.
Can
you please give me your wellness tips? So obviously you take care of yourself. You're in great shape.
Not great Pilates shape, but
you are.
No,
you were
joking.
so good.
I'm joking. My wellness tips.
So what are your kind of like, do you have any non-negotiables? Do you have anything that you just absolutely
I drink a lot of water.
Okay.
I'm, my
always
water
carrying
bottle, I'm always carrying it around. I put electrolytes in it. I know
Which
that's
one?
good for me. They're
Element?
not the best one. No, it's not Element. It's this grape flavor, which I'm addicted to. It's called Ultima. But I know it's not the best.
But it
Element
tastes
is good. But I want a taste that I can drink all day and enjoy. And a lot of the electrolytes are quite salty.
I know, but they are the ones without stevia.
Exactly. And I don't like stevia either. I don't know if these have stevia and
but the flavored ones have stevia.
Okay, so I'm fucked. Don't listen to me.
So you love stevia. Okay, so you drink a lot of water, electrolytes.
I drink a lot of water.
You do workouts.
Get outside, like outdoors, sunlight and just being in nature.
Yeah.
Like nature is so powerful. It can be a source of inspiration, and it can also just be a source of peace and quiet and calm.
Yeah.
As I've got older, I've realized that as much as I'm an extrovert, I'm also an introvert, and I need time to recharge.
Yeah. Oh,
that is really important to me.
Have you done your human design?
No.
Oh, let's do that. You need to know the minute you were born. This is like such a LA conversation.
I'm the third child, where there's 4 of us, but I'm the third boy, and my mum was like,
listen, by that time,
I squeezed you out. It's around 2:10.
You're lucky we know the date.
Exactly. 2:10 p.m. is what I say. So
no, but it's quite interesting because it goes deeper on the introvert extrovert thing.
Okay.
Yeah. It's quite interesting to look into.
My non-negotiables, energy vampires. As people, when you feel people that drain you of your energy, and it means that you have to take some real precious time to revive yourself, they're not people that should be in your life, and you don't have to shun them, but slowly be more precious about how and where you spend your time. And I do that with LA. LA can be a really toxic place.
Yeah.
And it's full of fucking energy vampires that just zap you and make you feel like you're the problem, and that you have all these insecurities. And as I've lived here longer and longer, it's like, I'm going to be more mindful about where I spend my time and where I go.
Yeah.
Because as much as maybe I think I want to be there, when I get there, I don't feel good about myself.
No, so you have a small circle here.
Small circle, do the things that I need to, get in and out. If I know there's an environment or people that don't make me feel good, I'm not going anymore.
Okay. So quick fire round to finish.
Uh-oh.
I always make these up on the spot.
On the spot is crazy.
Okay. So number 1 dating tip.
Be honest. Be honest. It's fucking horrible and hard, and I've been doing it at the moment, and it's really uncomfortable, but I've got to lead by example. And if I'm talking about casual dating and honesty, then that's the conversation I need to have with somebody, if that's where it's at.
Okay, I love that. Favorite book?
The Universe Has Your Back.
Oh, I love that.
Unbelievable book.
Amazing.
Changed my life when I was
incredible.
in a really uncomfortable and hard place.
Yeah, me too. I read it.
Really great. And I still have one of those mantras that,
Yeah, she's amazing.
Goes with me everywhere.
Favorite podcast?
It's not that deep. Come on now. Come on. Plug.
Favorite wellness tip? Overall wellness.
Exercise, but it doesn't have to be this huge thing. It just has to evolve in your life in a really natural way. Walking,
simplify it. Yeah.
Simple. 5 minutes a day, then 10 minutes a day. Fall in love with it. Enjoy it. It can be dancing. It can be fucking hula hooping. Like it doesn't.
Good one.
No, but it's true. It's like, I don't know. Learn to handstand. We make it so confusing, and people are so scared of it because you know, and I probably play a part in why people are scared of it, because I'm in a gym, you know, I want to exhaust myself and fucking feel destroyed. Most people don't want to do that. And that
Yeah.
isn't the definition of exercise. Just
Yeah.
move your body. You feel good after it.
That was a good one. What's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
Ooh.
And if it's from your mum, we're all going to start crying.
Now you said it,
It
it
is.
is that we all have a bag of tricks, right? And nobody knows what's in that bag, and we're all pulling out these tricks as and when we go, and just remember what's in your bag and use it accordingly.
I love that.
And I always, you know, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing.
But we're
None of
just
us
trying
do,
things.
but we're just pulling out, we're trying things, and
I love
and
that.
it's, yeah.
That's a good one. And just before we finish, Eyal has a hair care brand called Wavy. So where can people find that?
You can find that across social media with Feel Wavy, Feel Wavy, Wavy. It's a men's wavy and curly hair brand. It's really great. I don't just use it, but tens of thousands of other people do. So go check it out if you have wavy or curly hair.
Thank you so much.
Thank you
it
so
was
much.
so nice to meet you
It was
today.
amazing.
And
Lovely to meet you too.
Thank you.